This week, Western Reserve News on Tuesday was at Lordstown Village Council meeting, followed by Western Reserve Board of Education. On Wednesday, Western Reserve News was at the Canfield City Council meeting, followed by the Ellsworth Township Trustee meeting. One Canfield resident wants to know what can be done about a house on Kirk Street.
My name is Sharon Brown and I live at 35 Kirk Street, and I came to address the issue with 33 Kirk Street to see if we're any further ahead, and to also state to the city manager, which has already been stated to him and the city council, that there is now a hole in the roof of 33 Kirk Street, which can allow the city of Canfield to complain to the health department, and the health department must address that issue because now animals, vermin, whatever, can get into the structure. I just wanted to see where we were at on that. Mark spoke to me earlier and said that they were trying to get the title work to that home.
And I apologize. When you were here the last time, we said we were going to get on this, order the title work, get the chain of title, figure out who we need to notify in terms of eventually moving towards demolition. We've done that. We haven't received that title work back. We've made a couple of requests. I talked to Joe about it. Joe's asked me just to go in a different direction, which is what we're going to do. And again, Joe's asked me about it every week, and I've just said, well, the title report will be coming. It hasn't. My bad, and we'll go a different way and get that title quickly. And then we can send notice. Keep in mind, when you're demolishing somebody's property, whoever owns it, whether it's an individual, an entity, or a bank, it's destroying somebody's property. You're taking it down. There has to be notice provided. And I believe was it Indian Lake? Where did we?
Indian Lake.
On Indian Lake, we never heard back from anybody in all the notices that we sent. And at some point I became comfortable with enough certified letters going to enough parties that I thought we had completely covered ourselves, and we tore it down. At which point in time, sure enough, after a year of no response, I get a call from counsel for the bank asking me, what happened, and I said, hey, you're better off. You now have a nice vacant lot instead of,
We can go with that tactic maybe with 33.
We're going to do that. We're going to do that. So, again, I apologize for the delay, and I hope there aren't any moving forward.
Frank Makia would like to know what's wrong with his latest charter change.
Recently there was a charter amendment which I circulated to allow the residents to elect the city manager. We got 520 people sign that charter amendment. However, it did not get forwarded to the Board of Elections. The city attorney kind of dug deep to find some legal smoke to justify
I didn't have to
this.
dig deep, Mr. McGee.
I didn't hear what you said.
I did not have to dig deep to find problems.
But
That's characterized.
there were several objections that the city attorney brought up, but the bottom line was the objective was to keep that issue off the ballot,
That's not true.
in my opinion. And that was my opinion, keep it off the ballot. The city did not favor that, but they wanted to keep it off the ballot. And I don't think that speaks well of this administration. My opinion.
It changes the whole government here. And so all the issues have to be resolved and/or addressed, and they weren't, right? That's what Mark's saying.
Yeah, let me clarify the record here, since you're calling it legal fluff or whatever you tend to call it. First, it failed to meet the statutory requirements of containing a title. That's a fatal defect. It can't go forward. Additionally, it did not provide when that city manager would be elected. Mr. Marino is under contract. Pursuant to that employment agreement, your charter amendment would have required us to somehow replace him. That would be a breach of the agreement. Your charter amendment did not clarify when that city manager would first be elected. That's number 2. Further, if the proposed amendment was placed on the ballot and approved, a future elected city manager could be removed by council without any right to a hearing because you weren't amending Section 507. So we could have a situation where the city manager is elected, then immediately removed by council, and your charter amendment did not provide what happens in that case. It didn't remove the right of city council to remove the manager. You also stated in your charter amendment that the city manager had to comply with the ethics of the International City Managers Association, which prohibit him from being an elected official or participating in partisan politics. It was a train wreck. It couldn't go forward. Let's be clear. Let's not call it legal fluff. Those are fatal defects that would have rendered business impossible in this city. Period.
That's my opinion, Mark. I understand.
That's not an opinion, Frank.
All right. Now,
Let's just set the record clear about what that amendment tried to do ineffectively.
now it's my understanding that the city attorney represents the citizens of Canfield.
I do.
And as such, I'm requesting that he correct the charter amendment issues he cited so it can be resubmitted. And I'd be happy to work with him in doing that.
Can you put that request in writing to me?
All right. Thank you for your time, gentlemen.
Canfield has a new fire station in the works.
Mr. Morgan? I'd like to give a report on the fire district. We are continuing to go along with our plans to build the third fire station. It's going to be located on Herbert Road. We have not signed a contract yet with regards to the land, but that's forthcoming. It looks like the fire station will come to fruition sometime early next year in 2016. And there's a lot of pieces and parts to put together to accomplish this. The fire district has been really busy. As you know, the Canfield Fair just took place. They had over 100 calls related to heat, and so they were quite busy. We had 12 other fire departments helping us, and just a great communication, collaboration, and just what a great team effort and how smooth it really runs. And if Chief Tisch were here, his goal was that everybody go home safe. And I can report to you that everybody this year went home safe.
Are people not moving to Canfield because their pit bulls aren't allowed? Well, Canfield is planning to change that.
Want to add anything to that? Here's what I'll add to that. Pass the resolution we have on the agenda tonight to appoint Frost Brown to assist us in getting this done. That's what I'll add to that. I'm going to hand Joe, and he can distribute it to everybody, a new model ordinance that I'm recommending that would revise our dangerous and vicious dog ordinance. Right now, it doesn't change much, but right now we define dangerous and vicious dogs a number of ways. It's based on behavior, and it's based on breed. Specifically, any type of pit bull or any dog that has some pit bull in it. We've had people over the years call me, I know they've called the chief and the city manager about moving into the city, but they have a pit bull. And we've had to tell them, you just can't move into the city with a pit bull. With the new ordinance, the state of Ohio, House Bill 14, a couple of years ago, revised the Ohio Revised Code to say we're getting away from breed-specific definitions. So the Ohio Revised Code now defines dangerous dogs and vicious dogs by behavior rather than by breed. And that's what I'm recommending. And we really don't lose much here. If a dog lives in the city and does something menacing or dangerous, then it's going to be a dangerous and vicious dog and have to be registered and maintained in a certain type of pen, etc. So I'm going to distribute that to you tonight. If you could get me your feedback, I'd like to get something on the agenda for the next meeting or the first meeting in October.
Mark, is it subjective
No.
behavior, or is
A little bit. If you look at the ordinance, the proposed ordinance, a dangerous dog is defined as a dog that has caused injury to any person or killed another dog. That's not too subjective. Been the subject of a third or subsequent violation of running at large. A vicious dog means without provocation, the dog has killed or caused serious injury to any person, so it's really not too subjective. I think it's pretty good. And we're not in violation of the law. Our ordinance is just different than the state code right now, and I think it's best that we get in line with the state code. Yes, sir.
Is the state going to make recommendations to insurance providers to modify their definition, because currently my homeowner's policy still uses the definition of any dog that belongs to a breed that is commonly known as a pit bull.
Yeah, I don't know the answer.
That's a direct quote from my homeowner.
I don't know if the state's going to do that. So you'll have that for your consideration.
At Ellsworth Township, the trustees are hoping to have an agreement with Lordstown to hold their next winter's salt supply.
Well, some of it may be covered in here too, but you know, the purchase of salt has been something that's going around for a couple of years here. We all have been talking to the county engineers about this and the availability of it, and if you have it, you're going to use it. Last year, a lot of people didn't buy it $130 a ton. We paid $108. This year, it's going to be available at $58 and I think 85 cents a ton. And then there was some handling as far as the transferring of it. That's always been the question with us, is we have a contracted person that spreads the salt. So all I think that we need to do is, what the county engineer said, he was going to have a request form for us to get that salt that way. But he said, no, I'm not even going to do that. If you need it, then we'll work a way about getting it. Matt's been involved with our shared service with Lordstown. Guys, what I may be thinking about, get some input for you guys about storing it up in Lordstown and then us getting it whenever we need it. Then we don't have to complicate this matter. It may cost us a little more transferring it, you know, somebody hauling it for us. But I think pulling the trigger at less than $60 a ton is probably prudent to do right now.
I agree.
So I hear, you know, Fred talking about, you know, he went through it last year and knows how difficult this was. So Matt, if you can let us know, you know, if Lordstown's ready to do that, then maybe we can just purchase that salt at the next meeting.
Sure.
What was we talking about, 50 tons?
60 ton, I think, 60 ton. Because one thing without Lordstown, they give us everything that nothing's lost. We don't have to store it, and they're really good about not arguing who's. I think getting away from the county and getting it over there would be a good thing. They've exhibited great cooperation and honesty.
And Ellsworth Township receives a maintenance status report.
Maintenance cemetery recycling reports with Mr. Matt Strode, supervisor.
All right. I'd like to give a thanks to Baird Brothers. We did an upgrade and some improvements to the fair display, and they donated all the trim that needed to be milled. And I need to give them a thanks. There was no charge for that. Installed a mailbox for Jim in his office there, for fiscal officer, so that's a little more convenient for everybody. Cemetery, we sold one lot. We had one burial. The well has been the pump well has been an ongoing issue. We had Bill's well out, and he did some work on it. It was working pretty good for a few days, and now it's back to still having problems. I talked to him. He would replace the pipe in it now with a Schedule 80 pipe rod, and a check valve, and he's looking at $1,000 to $1,500. So we move forward with that. The Armstrong Cable Services, we did finally complete the combining of the services. The approximate savings is going to be $72 a month, and you should start to see that on that bill. I know that you just received a bill, and they were just, it was at the end of the month, and they were both combined.
Right, there was a proration and an install fee.
So
the proration was correct.
Yeah, so we should see a difference on that. The roads have been chipped and fogged, and the speed bumps on West Hill have been painted. I know we had discussion last meeting about truck weight limits. I took the opportunity to go visit our neighbors over in Canfield and ask them what do they do. They have adopted the 17-ton limit on their roads, just as the county has a 17-ton limit on all their roads. Goshen has also done the same thing. They're posted 17 tons. Anything over 17 tons, they must be bonded by Mahoning County. So they don't even get in the bond business. It's by Mahoning County. So I just wanted to share that information with you. We do have 17-ton limit signs on Knopf Road and on Galt, all Mahoning County roads have a 17-ton limit unless posted. And that's all I have.
Okay.
On Tuesday, September 8th, Western Reserve News was at the Western Reserve School Board of Education meeting and at the Lordstown Village Council meeting, where there was an issue regarding the village's water.
Bruce Platt, 1952 Salt Springs Road. I'm here more as the water superintendent at this time. We received a letter, meaning the Lordstown Village Public Water System. We received a letter from the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency, and it's dated August the 20th. And its subject is violation of maximum contaminant level for our THMs. Which we monitor for quarterly and keep those records and keep a running average. The letter says basically, Lordstown Village Public Water System is in violation for exceeding the maximum contaminant level standard of 0.080 milligrams per liter. As established in the Ohio Administrative Code, OAC, Section 3745-82-12 for TTHMs, which is trihalomethanes. That's a disinfectant byproduct that is in the water, gets there through chlorination and all the chemical reactions to disinfect the water. It says compliance with the maximum contaminant level is based on a locational running average, annual average.
But the water contamination is so low, you'd have to drink a lot of pennies.
They're really not dangerous levels. They have been found suspected to cause cancer if you consume the water over an extended period of time. So the discussion with Mr. Vigorito was you had to drink for 70 years at an elevated level. And this, they're talking, when they say 0.80 or 0.080 milligrams per liter, that's actually parts per billion. So they're talking about 80 pennies out of a billion pennies. So it's a microscopic amount. And so we had 9 pennies too many out of a billion. So in our samplings, so.
The mayor of Lordstown gave his updates report.
Mayor's report, I did get a call from Eastern Gateway Community College, a gentleman who Mr. Mansell and I have met with, and he said he will be bringing somebody up that is still a good potential that may become a welding lab for Eastern Gateway Community Colleges. There's been dialogue with Lincoln Electric, and we're hopeful that if this goes through and we can get an agreement, eventually they would expand and take the whole building. That's our hopes. Whether that happens, can't say for sure. A week ago there was a fundraiser held at Ross Foods. It was for the Ladies Auxiliary. The meat was donated. It was a fire chief's daughters who raised the hogs. The meat was cut over at Charlene Farms, and it was donated by Clean Energy Futures, Mr. Seidowitz. And we were able to raise $1,225 for the Ladies Auxiliary. So that's a pretty good meal. Mr. Blank and I met with a representative from the Treasurer's Office, and we were also at Chamber of Salute to Business the other day, and they had a presentation of Ohio Checkbook, and that's where a lot of different governmental entities are putting their budgets online. And it was a very good presentation. Everybody who was there were pretty well impressed with it, and we will be having our village budget put online, probably all the years, starting when starting from when we were last audited, so I can't remember. Is that last year and this year, Bill?
I believe that was 12 and 13.
12 and 13. So we'll be having those put online. It will take a while to get the paperwork taken care of, but we will be having our budget through Ohio checkbook through the Treasurer's Office. A lot of other communities are doing that for the sake of transparency, and we feel that would be quite beneficial for all. I do have an appointment this evening to the auxiliary police. I'd like council to confirm. And I'll also be asking for an executive session, contract negotiations for water for the energy plant. That's it for the mayor's report.
Western Reserve added drones to their existing athletic policy.
It is recommended that the revision of the interscholastic athletics policy be approved.
This is the revision to the athletic part with the drones. This is not your father's world anymore, and being proactive, somebody decides they want to fly a drone over the field during a football game or a baseball game or track meet. I saw earlier, I mentioned to some of you that CNN had a piece on it. One crashed into the stands at the U.S. Open that somebody was flying. They've had them at various college football games already that, flying around. So a lot of the OHSAA has come out and said that it's up to individual schools. They're not going to make a policy on that. So to be proactive, we'll put this revision, which basically, because we have it's part of our athletic policy, we can do that with one reading, and then just as a general policy for drones on school property, we have things like field day. Somebody wants to watch the kids with field day, or who knows, whatever we have that's outside, band practice, whatever. It'll cover all that. That'll be a new policy, so we'll do, I think the next item is the first reading. If it's a new policy, we have to have two readings. So this will be a revision to the athletic policy, and then we'll do a new policy just basically for everything.